Hey everyone, this is Fish Fried 4000 back with another video here. In this video I'd like to give a more detailed explanation of how I set up this tank. The first thing I did was I bought a single bag of Miracle-Gro Organic Choice potting soil. Used the entire bag, covered the bottom, saturated it with water. I didn't flood it. I just made sure all the pore spaces in the soil were filled with water, and I let it sit outside for about 2 days. And during that time, it actually rained, and it was a pain because I had to sop up all the excess water with a sponge and to get rid of it. And during that 2-day waiting period, I had my substrate and new T5 lights on order. So it took about, so once they arrived after a couple of days, I capped the substrate after I mixed some laterite into the soil. And then I also mixed some of the fluoride into the soil. I don't know if there's any benefit to that, because I meant to buy more laterite, but I ended up just using like a partial bag that I had sitting around. So I hope there's enough iron content in the dirt. So after I capped the substrate, I slowly filled up the tank. Did like the siphoned. I siphoned in about like that much water through air hose tubing before I started just slowly pouring the water in. Then I did a series of fillings and drainings. I didn't really keep track of. It feels like probably about 10 of them over the course of probably more than 10 over the course of, let's see, it was a weekend. Yeah, over the course of like 2 or 3 days. Actually, no, I had the tank set up about 4 or 5 days before my plants came in. I didn't have the lights on to keep algae from springing up. So over the course of that time, I did quite a number of large water changes. I had the tank set up with the filter running and everything. I didn't have the heater on, but so yeah, after about 4 or 5 days, my plants arrived in the mail. I planted the heck out of the tank, and I ended up with what you see here. So I hope that helps anyone who happens to be interested in setting up a dirt tank. I wish I would have thought to record the process as I went along, but I didn't do that. But oh well. And if like I said, I'd like to help people, but there's a lot of good information out there on YouTube about setting up dirt tanks. I like to as a beginner at this thing, I'd like to tell you some of the things that I didn't quite do right, just so you can avoid these mistakes yourself. I don't know if this is really much of a mistake, maybe it's just a common thing, but I apparently didn't cap the soil well enough. Sorry, my hands are shaking. Right here and farther in the back, there you see some dirt coming up. And then I made some other basic mistakes when planting the plants. I did a real crappy job planting plants, especially the valves. They kept floating up. I should have piled some more gravel on top of them after I stuck them in the dirt. Of course, eventually I did after the fact, but for a while those things weren't very well rooted, and I think that's what. Oops, sorry, I'm getting all crazy with the camera. I think that's why they had such a slow start, but they seem to be coming along well right now. Hopefully they grow thick enough to cover up that power head.